Hello, my name is Tony Coll, and these are a series of instructive, interesting, and informative interviews that I'm going to do with people that I find interesting and have got something good to say. My guest this morning is Andy Farrall, who's written a book called Investigative Interviewing. Now, Andy specialises in health and safety. And before you go, oh, health and safety, I don't talk about health and safety. Andy's end of this business is absolutely fascinating because when something terrible has happened, it has been in the past Andy's job to figure out what happened, whose fault it was, and how do we put it right. And he's written a fascinating book about the subject. So first of all, say good morning, Andy.
Good morning, everybody.
Show us your book.
Here we go. I just happen to have one on the table.
It's, yeah, just happened. Right.
Just like that, yeah.
Andy's book is called Investigative Interviewing. Now, if ever you are in this, and this is presumably when I hear that title, Investigative Interview, the first thing I think about is that old TV series Callan with the single naked light bulb swinging ominously above the desk.
Yeah,
so were you one of those? Were you one of those guys that used to?
I have worked in law enforcement. Yes, I worked as a customs investigator and also at Regional Crime Squad. But no, we didn't use the lamp in the face technique. That happens to be illegal, as I mentioned in the book. Funnily enough,
I thought it might be. Yeah.
No, we worked according to the appropriate legislation, the pace and so on and so forth. But yeah, the idea was to try and get to the bottom of what was going on. But there are more subtle ways than thumping somebody with a telephone directory, which used to be done in certain US states.
Yeah. So, investigative interviewing, in what circumstances would your average manager or your average leader need to know the techniques of investigative interviewing? Because we're not talking about police, are we?
No. But what we're doing is we're using the similar techniques that the police investigator would use. The situation would be, for example, somebody is accused of bullying or sexual harassment or some other really serious offence, which, if it's found proven, it could cost them their job, their career, their reputation. They're obviously going to fight back. It could end up in industrial tribunal. It's really going to run the distance. So the management have got to know what they're doing. Now, because the stakes are so high, and this is where it gets interesting, the group dynamics change completely. Normally, with a management interview, the manager asks the questions and the interviewee answers, more or less. So the manager controls the interview. With the investigative interview, especially if you're talking to somebody who may actually have something to hide, they want to know how much you know. So they are actually scrutinizing you as much as you are scrutinizing them. But most managers don't realize it.
Presumably you might be interviewing a whole range of people in a team because you don't know which of them did it, if anybody.
Exactly. You've got no idea. I mean, you may have a suggestion, oh, so-and-so has been doing this. Well, that is a version, but you don't know it's true. And you accept nothing as being true until you've proved it. So you go in with an open mind and you work on the basis that anybody could have any agenda you don't actually know. So you watch what they're doing. But if they do have a secret, they will want to know what you know, either to cover themselves or because they're trying to help their mate or whatever. So the way you conduct the interview can actually give the game away. If you look too interested, if you ask a lot of questions about a certain topic.
If you look too interested?
Yeah.
So that's I've got to just take a minute to get my head around that. So don't sound, so when you ask somebody a question, well, act like you don't really care.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. The thing is, I regard this, I refer to it as playing chess, verbal chess with a poker face. You don't give the game away. One of the people I mentioned in my book, because I look at where investigative interviewing came from, and so we go back to the 1920s and the old idea of the 3-degree, which is, you know, the lamp in the face and smack around the head of the telephone directory to encourage thought. It doesn't work. It's illegal anyway. But one of the best interrogators I've come across was a chap called Hans Schaaf, who was a Luftwaffe investigator in World War II. He interviewed US and Allied pilots, officers normally, to find out what was going on. Now, he got into it by accident. He was actually an admin corporal, and it's sort of his boss got killed in a flying accident, and he sort of got the job. And he'd seen that his colleagues, the investigators, the interrogators, weren't getting very far because the crew expected to be shouted at and tables to be banged and so on, and they were trained for it. He went in totally the opposite way. He just chatted to them, and he never expressed an interest or gave any concern of what they were saying. One chap came out of the interview and apparently said to a colleague, "I don't think I told him anything, but I just can't be certain," because he just had a general chatty way. So he wouldn't give the game away. If something new was revealed, he wouldn't go, "Oh, I didn't know that," because immediately the chap would go on his guard. So he just, I know that. So I'll just carry on and file it away mentally.
So the whole thing mustn't be confrontational then. You don't go in saying, "Or did you do this or didn't you?"
No way. Some people try it. The good cop, bad cop routine. It doesn't work. It's as simple as that. If you go in, "I know what you did. Why don't you simply confess?" Well, somebody who's got their wits about him will say on the lines of, "Well, if you know what's happened, pal, what's the point of my being here? You know, get on with it. Goodbye," and walk out. They're not under arrest. You can't detain them. They simply walk out, and you're sitting there with egg on your face because your prime witness has just gone. The alternative, if you start getting confrontational, "I know you did it, you tell me," they can actually take on mock anger, if you like. "I didn't come in here to be spoken like that by you. I don't care who you are. Don't speak to me like that." And they walk out.
Right.
And I've actually seen that happen. I did a training course as well with the Institute of Industrial Accident Investigators. I did the lead accident investigators course. And we did a lot of practicals. And unfortunately, because of the time constraints, it was sort of 3 of us, or 2 or 3 at a time, interviewing one person at a time. It's not the best way of doing it. And I was interviewing this chappie who I knew was guilty of the accident. And I'd almost got him. And then a young lad next to me made some comment, which is a bit on the heavy side. And immediately he reacted, took the cue. I'm not being spoken to like that. And he walked out. Later on, I did actually nail him down, and he gave the confession. But on the debrief, he admitted I'd almost got him on the ropes. He was looking for a way out, and my colleague inadvertently gave it to him by saying something inappropriate, and so the mock indignation, and away he goes. So yeah, shouting at people and being aggressive is not the way forward. What I tend to do, I mean, when I was interviewing with the police and with customs, to take away the sting of "I don't believe you," because that's confrontational. It's really, "Look, I don't get this. Maybe it's me. I'm sorry, maybe it's me. But I thought you said
Columbo,
A,
isn't it?
And now you seem to be saying B. Have I missed something? You know, help me out here, because I think I've missed something here. Please go through it again if you would, kindly."
Do you remember Detective Columbo? He used to do that.
Exactly. Yeah, as you walked out the door, "Oh, just one last thing." I mean, I hated that program, but it was a very good technique. Because what happens there is the person thinks, if they're guilty, they think they've got away with it. So they've relaxed, their guard's gone down. You know, they've done all the lying and all they're trying to remember how the lies fit together, and they relax. And all of a sudden, somebody comes back in with a, "What about?" And now they've got to, without breaking step, they've got to go back in, remember what really happened, what they say happened, how the two are meant to go together, and how to answer this question. By the way, where's this question leading me? That's a lot of mental gymnastics.
Yeah.
And you can very easily and very discreetly and quietly and almost pleasantly ties somebody up in knots doing that because they're not expecting it.
Mm.
But it is an interview technique is to go back over it, but not in time sequence, to jump around a little bit. And they're running around. If they are lying and they're making things up, they're trying to remember what they said plus what happened. And they'll try to keep track of what you're doing. And this new lie, does it match the old lies? Does it make sense? Does it match what really happened? And why is he asking that question? Where's he going with this? Am I digging myself into a corner? You know, I've actually had the once I was interviewing somebody with one of the customs chappie who'd been arrested as part of a drug smuggling operation, and he wasn't having it at all. And we kept on, and so pointing out, you know, there are things going wrong here. This doesn't make sense. Please explain to me how this can be an archivy. And give me his due, he fought valiantly. But halfway through yet another protest of innocence, he just stopped dead. I'll never forget it. He stopped dead. Oh, all right, I give up. You've got me. And he admitted it. It doesn't happen very often, but it was great when it did happen.
Yeah. So the first piece of general advice is keep it cool, keep it casual, and don't be too interested. Is there anything you can say about how you can structure the process of interviewing somebody?
Yeah, I mean, structure is all important. You can't just go into an interview and wing it. You've got to know what it is you're trying to find out. So who is the person you're talking to? What do you think they know? What are you trying to find out? What key questions are you going to ask? But obviously you have an open mind, because if something appears, you get an indication, oh, I didn't know that. But you may now start directing questions down this new line of inquiry. But yeah, you plan it out. And partly you think about the person themselves, because you have to refer to them. So you've got to think about, is this person, for example, is English their mother tongue? So will they understand your questions? What age are they? Have they got learning difficulties? You know, do they need somebody with them to protect their interest? And you've got to be ethical all the way through. But you have to plan it out. You know what it is you think has happened. You know what you want to find out. And you have an idea of how you're going to get to that point. But you'll take them through their story and then see how it develops. So you have to be flexible. But yeah, you can't just go in with a piece of paper and sort of, right, tell me all about it and start asking killer questions. It's not going to happen. You've got to have a battle plan in your mind as to how you're going to run things.
Do you take notes during the interview?
Yes, you should do. But
in the old-fashioned way.
I would try. Well, I see no reason why you can't do an audio recording. That's actually easier.
Yeah.
As long as they consent to it. So it saves you taking notes all the time.
And it doesn't interrupt the flow, does it?
Exactly. But what you can also do, whether you record or not, there are tricks of the trade in taking the notes. For a game, you don't want to give the game away. So if the person says something and immediately you started scribbling furiously, that suggests to them that is something of importance. So what I suggest in the book, simple trick, is don't synchronize your note-taking with the answers. So you get this key answer, which is of interest, but you just nod, yeah, fine, right, keep on going. And then 30 seconds later, when they said something innocuous, you start making a note. But you're not noting the innocuous, you're noting the important. And they then lose track of what you're looking at. It's a simple trick, but it works.
Okay. Is there any general advice that you can give people about, what situations should you handle yourself versus, this is such a serious thing that's happened, I really ought to go straight to the police about this, or customs?
I would suggest that if a manager's tasked with doing something, he may possibly, especially something like a sexual assault, or an allegation of sexual assault, to be fair, then what he may need to do, I think, to cover himself, is to speak to the legal department and tell them what the situation is. If they say, yeah, fine, go and talk to them and see what you can get, that's fine. They may say, no, you could be infringing on a police inquiry. Just give the matter to the police and stay away from it. And you have to be careful. You don't want to inadvertently upset a prosecution case. You know, so you've got to think, is this something I am competent to deal with? Is it something within my authority to deal with? So you have to be aware that sometimes it may be a matter for law enforcement. Even if, as an investigation procedure, you may suddenly realize, actually, this is a lot more serious than we thought. Let's stop it at this point, speak to the police, hand them our notes, and then go with them. What do they want to do next? And they'll probably just take over at that point. It's a good point. You can't just gallop in because you may inadvertently upset a police inquiry.
And the normal final question is, where do we get hold of your book?
Well, if you go on to my website, managementsafety.co.uk, you can actually order it through there. On LinkedIn, if you send me a message on LinkedIn, direct mail, I'll send you the link to the book. And there's also a course to go with it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Would you advise people to read the book first?
No, the two work together, but the course is freestanding or the book on its own will work. It depends what you want to do. But the course is based upon the book. It's essentially 11 video clips. It's about 2 hours worth of video going through the key issues. And I do commentary over the top. And the way that works, I did it with a very good friend of mine, Jodie Reed from Penarth Management. And I did the slides, and then she actually did the graphics and so on. And she's hosting it on a site that she's connected with. And you pay a one-off subscription for that. You go in, but you can't download the videos, but you can access them as many times as you want. And there's also a copy of the book in read-only form on the site. And there's a guide, a student guide, and so on. So there's a lot of material there. And again, the information is on the website, or if somebody wants to contact me via LinkedIn, I can give them the contact details for that. But at the moment, we're running a special offer on the course. I've got to get the advert in. We're running a special offer on the course. Normally it'd be $250 plus VAT for a one-off subscription. Which is open-ended, but until the 1st of September, it's £100 plus VAT for an open-ended subscription. So there you go. Get in quick while the offer's still going.
Okay. So, Andy, thank you very much indeed for taking part this morning. Really enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it. Thank you very much.